I don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to play this week. There was a report that he sprained his shoulder and he's getting further testing done on that shoulder. If Hurts does not go, it's Gardner Minshew season, babe. Get out your jean shorts and put on your mustache. It may not be no shave November, but December is in full swing, and Gardner Minshew back in 2019, he played the majority of the season for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he finishes the quarterback 22 in fantasy points. He was 285 for 470, 21 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He rushed the ball 67 times for 344 yards. I think he's a good scheme fit for the Philadelphia Eagles. If we look at what he did in 2021 in his 2 spot starts for Jalen Hurts last year, quarterback scoring 18.7 fantasy points in week 13. He went 20 for 25. He had 2 passing touchdowns. And then in week 18, 19 for 33, 186 passing yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, 5 rushes for 10 yards on the ground in week 18. So we've seen some games where Gardner Minshew has been just fire, and he's got more weapons now. So I think that Gardner Minshew is a high priority waiver ad for you. If you like the content, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. It really does help the channel. Thanks. Especially if you are the Jalen Hurts manager and you're expecting Hurts to miss, because Gardner Minshew in his games with the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? There was one against Carolina week 5, 2019, where he went 26 for 40 out of 44, 374 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 for 42 on the ground. Then in 2020, there was a stretch of 4 games where Gardner Minshew threw for at least 275 passing yards in those 4 games, where he threw 7 touchdowns in that 4-game span, only 4 interceptions, and he had at least 40 passing attempts in all of those games. So you are probably firing up Gardner Minshew as a high upside quarterback too for this week. If Jalen Hurts is not out, that's why I put him as a high upside quarterback too. And maybe like quarterback 10 to 15 is probably the range where you want to put Gardner Minshew. He's got the weapons. He's shown that he can do well with volume. And this game is going to be one where it's highly competitive against a Dallas team that just got torched. Against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So their secondary is vulnerable. And if Jalen Hurts is not good to go, Gardner Minshew is a very viable streaming option for this week. And in fact, I would consider starting Gardner Minshew over Tua Tagovailoa this week, if that is the way it goes. Miles Sanders was massively disappointing in this game. 11 carries, 42 rushing yards, not very efficient on the ground. No touchdowns. He had 1 catch for negative 13 yards, only 55% of the snaps. And we thought this was a plus matchup. This was one that I missed. I thought that the Philadelphia Eagles were going to get out to a big lead and just hand the ball off to Miles Sanders, but can't get them all right. And it was just a really disappointing game for the running back 11 on the season. At running back 11 in PPR, over 1,100 rushing yards. He has 11 touchdowns on the season, 18 receptions on 24 targets on the year. Miles Sanders you're probably going to have to start him as a running back too against Dallas, but Dallas doesn't give up a ton of fantasy points to the running back. So if it's Gardner Minshew, I wonder if they're going to get involved in the shootout. If you like the content, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. It really does help the channel. Thanks. And you're hoping that Miles Sanders just falls in the end zone when they get close to the goal line. But Sanders, he got 12 touches in this game. It wasn't quite the 18 touches he had gotten in week 14, but Tennessee, he only had 12 touches in that game, week 13 as well. Miles Sanders, a little bit more of a floor than what we would have liked, but this was his worst game of the year by far.